Hello team, happy Monday and happy second week of March. I hope that you're doing well. Today I'm gonna come with you, or this week I'm gonna come with you on a very short message, the importance of taking your weekly measurements, monthly measurements and photos, as well as your annual check with the doctor. And I'm gonna be straight to the dot. It's going to be 8 years of experience this next April as a coach. And I have gone through a whole journey myself of understanding what works for people, what doesn't work for people, and also what works for people while keeping them healthy. So as I always say to all of you here, I will gain more as a coach if you leave my coaching feeling healthier and wiser with your choices on lifestyle, nutrition and exercising than if you just leave my coaching having lost 9 kilos and maybe 2 months later you gain those 9 kilos back and more and you don't know how to do to get them back down. So that is not an approach that I will ever have. However, there is something that I want you to all listen. What we're doing here, all of us, what we're doing here is called body recomposition. You are all going through sessions of strength sessions, cardiovascular. We're also looking at your need, we're looking at your sleep, we're looking at your nutrition. All of this wanting to change your body composition. There is nothing harder than changing body composition, especially if you're over 40, especially if you had a vast list of mistakes that you made in the past trying stupid diets and stupid training protocols. And when I say stupid, take it with a pinch of salt, because I have been in there myself, and we all did the best we had with the information we had then. However, I am also very conscious to any practices that I do on my coaching will never, or the idea that I have in my head, that is nothing that I will be asking from you here will be driving anything that is conducive to eating disorders, disorder eating, or bad relationship with your body image. However, that is something that what doesn't get tracked doesn't get measured. Unfortunately, what doesn't get tracked doesn't get controlled and doesn't get improved. And if you decided to sign up with me on a journey that you are investing time and money, which is the two more value resources that someone can have, time more than anything, and money, we know that, okay? So if you decided to invest your time and your money on this coaching, you might as well just do it right and get to learn through the process many things that you will be discovering about yourself and how your body changes with the different changes that we try to implement. For that reason, and I'm going to be showing one of the guys because he allows me. I know females are more sensitive with regards to showing photos, so this is why I decided to use Sebas, who is a very successful male client of mine. Sebas came to me when he had already had some experience on training and nutrition. In fact, he used to be coached by a influencer nutritionist, which then we discovered that unfortunately the things that he had learned with him were value, but were not value for his unique experience. However, let's just go back to what I was saying, the importance of taking the weekly measurements, the monthly measurements, and why we take them. And then I'm going to dig into the annual checks. So you know that on my coaching, some of you might have more data, like this guy, to fill up on a daily basis. Some of you might have less, based on how much you need my help, and also based on how much hands-on you can be after you have completed the first 4 months, which we know that are quite intense in my coaching. But besides that, all of you are asked to be taking 2 measurements on a weekly basis, sometimes 3, but mainly just 2, and total body measurements and photos on a monthly basis. Now, why is this important? More than anything, remember this picture that I shared with you long ago? Fat versus muscle. What we're trying to do here, all of you, is body recomposition. And body recomposition implies burning fat, building muscle. However, the speed at which we burn fat and we build muscle is very unique to the individual, to the experience that they have had in the past with exercising and nutrition. The more experience, the harder, unfortunately. The less experience, the easier, fortunately. And sometimes you might not be able to see that process in the way you look. And also, especially on females, we cannot rely on how you perceive your body, because we perceive our body very differently according of the weeks that we're going to be facing. the first 2 weeks of the period, we're very likely to be more generous and gentle with ourselves because our body's not retaining as much water. We just feel leaner. We are mentally more clear than in the last 2 weeks of the period. When we retain water, we have a terrible relationship with ourselves just because our perception of ourselves gets totally disrupted. For that reason, I cannot rely on how you perceive yourself on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis for me to take changes. I need objective and tangible feedback on how your body is changing. And for that reason, I need the weekly basis checks. Why? Because if we get at least one reading of your weight on a weekly basis, I know what direction the body is going, right? However, with body composition, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I much prefer if you weigh yourself every day and you are able to link that reading with what happened to you the day before. For example, I am very familiar with my fluctuations. And when I just went for a ride this weekend. I haven't been riding outside because of my health conditions at the moment. That ride was extremely challenging for myself and my body with my condition at the moment. Today, I woke up 3 pounds heavier. If let's say that you had that in the day before you had your 1 weekly reading, you're going to be feeling, oh my God, I'm not doing anything, I'm just wasting my time. For that reason is that I need the more data, the better. So at least give me 1 weekly reading, because then I am, with my experience, I am able to see if what we're doing is working or is not, and then I will be able to do the relevant changes. The reason why I ask you for your waistline, the waistline also tells a lot about like if the fluctuations on the body weight are mainly happening because of water retention. They also tell us if you've been under the stress for long periods of time on that week. Maybe you haven't been sleeping properly, and you, on top of that, you are on PMS. You might have bigger readings. So this also tells me how your body changed. And when you get me the check-in and I connect those two with the notes that you leave me, it gives me a lot more background where your mental state is when you're doing that check-in. Then, if we go for the monthly measurements, the reason why they are important is because for this exactly same reason. The body changed and we don't notice sometimes because we might be obsessed. For example, some of us have different obsessions. Some of you might be obsessed with, I don't have a six-pack, and your body might be changing all over in different areas, but you're so obsessed with not seeing the six-pack that you cannot see the changes. For that reason is that we need to have those monthly measurements. When you told me like, hey, I bought a new pair of jeans, they didn't used to fit me in the past and now they do, but I weigh the same. How weird is it? This is exactly what is happening. For that reason, I need the monthly measurements and the monthly photos. If I show you again, my guy Sebastian, if you see when we started, we used to do a monthly photos. Until then, we wanted to do a more serious cut. And with my cuts, I would never go for a crazy approach, also because he's a doctor. But then from there, look, this is him, yeah? In my eyes, or in people's eyes, his feet, but in there is a lot of fat hidden all over his body because he was just eating way too much compared to what he was in training. He came to me, we link all together, the training, the food, nutrition, and everything, and how he's looking now a lot better. But he's been extremely disciplined on taking his daily measurements, weekly measurements, monthly measurements, bi-weekly photos. So with some of you, all I'm asking is weekly measurements, monthly photos, and measurements. So then we know if this is working or if it's not. Now, on top of that, one thing that I might have to say to some of you, especially if you are over 35 and if you have had lots of experience in the past, crazy diets and crazy training protocols, we all did, many of us did. Your hormonal health might not be in a very good place. Also, if you haven't been looking after your quality of sleep, the stress management, nowadays, and even more so after COVID, inflammation went to the roof after having suffered COVID. For that reason, mental health and hormonal health is all over the place. For that reason, it's your responsibility, if you are over 35, to get an annual check with your doctor. And this is something that I realize UK people is not really good at. Because unfortunately, the GP system that you guys have over there, or the health system that you guys have there, I'm not criticizing, might not be implying or might not be suggesting the importance of you getting a physical check on an on a year basis. And when I say a physical check, ideally you want to get your body composition check, so knowing how much muscle and bone density you have, how much inflammation internally you have, and also your VO2 max, so your cardiovascular endurance. But if you cannot get that full spectrum of your annual checks, for sure make sure that you get a blood test. I am telling you here, the more I study on my courses, the more I study on the podcast, the more I experience it on my own and myself with my health. There are many things that are happening. There are many deficiencies that you might be suffering that might be stalling your process of being able to lose fat and gain muscle. Unfortunately, losing fat is a threat for the body. So a body that is stressed, or a body that is deficient on whether that is vitamin D, vitamin B12, zinc, all vitamin Bs, a body that has any hormonal imbalance will not be in a position to lose fat. Even if you do your steps, even if you do your sessions, even if you sleep well, even if you eat your food, your body will be internally stressed because you have a deficiency. And those deficiencies can only be spotted on a blood work. After you get a blood work, then you can get on top of what is happening with your thyroid health, with your hormonal health, and with your nutrition, if there is any deficiencies that we should be complementing. Now, I'm going to leave you with this message. You are a grown-up adults, but if you want to get the best out of my coaching, I will make sure that you get me that data. The more data, the better. And if somehow this data is making you feel bad about yourself, just bring it up. Raise your hand up, because I will be reweighting the way you're reading that data. I'm not reading that data trying to criticize you. I'm reading that data trying to understand what is happening with your body on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, with the changes that we are trying to make. And if you do really want to make sure that your body is ready to lose fat and gain muscle, make sure you get your annual blood works. That will tell you a lot more as to why you haven't been able to lose that belly fat. Bye-bye. Enjoy this video.